It's not about whether you're ready or not, but it's let's get them as ready as possible and catch up if we need to.
I've seen AI implementations slow down a little bit because leaders weren't aligned on their priorities.
We don't have a whole lot of answers, and I think that adds to really kind of the hairiness, right, of this type of adoption as opposed to traditional technology adoption.
Welcome to Under the Hood, a channel where we explore how organizations really work and what drives them forward. My name's Eric, and for over 30 years, I've been an external business consultant focused on managing large organizational change and improving companies' operational processes. It seems like AI is making a lot of change in that space. Or is it? To explore this, I tapped on two colleagues who, like myself, have spent more than 25 years leading large technology and non-technology transformations, and who are currently deeply embedded in AI transformations. Together, we explore if the way we're leading organizations through AI transformations is different, or are we drawing from the same organizational change principles that have worked for years? Coelho is Director of AI Change and Transformation at Microsoft, and Arlyne Aranda is founder of AC Collaborative, a firm that builds some of the best change programs I've seen. What's funny is I knew Kate and I knew Arlyne, but I didn't know Kate and Arlyne already knew each other, and that made for some really fun and candid moments. We divided our conversation into 6 episodes, each episode focused on a certain aspect of organizational change management. This episode is focused on driving adoption. For those of you in the trenches, we hope you find this practical and thought-provoking, and welcome to the conversation.
What are your first thoughts around adoption in an AI transformation?
I think behavior change, right, is right now we're in this world. It's not as much about adoption anymore, but it's, is AI becoming part of how people think, how they decide, how they work together and redesign their work? So yes, adoption's still an important signal, but the bigger question is how are they changing their behaviors, their mindsets, and their beliefs?
I love it.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is more of a phrase than a word. So, um, more complex than complex. I think as practitioners, we are pretty practiced in dealing with everything from human behavior to actually process to all of these different factors in any transformation. But I think AI, um, it being really kind of hot and sexy right now and it moving so fast, there are some things that we're learning as we go along, which adds a layer of complexity to really kind of some of the way that we're trying to do change.
It makes a lot of sense. For me, the first thing that came to mind was maybe not so much of a constraint, right? Adoption. What I mean by that, I think there are, for me, 2 sides to adoption. I'm thinking about employee readiness, and then I'm thinking about leadership alignment. And from the employee readiness perspective, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I haven't seen a technological transformation where people were learning about the core capabilities at home, right? I learned how to prompt by going to, trying to find a vacation. Yeah, but no, but seriously, there's a McKinsey study, and I'll put a link to it, but back in 2025, and it said that employees were 3 times more likely to be using Gen AI for 30% of their daily tasks than their leaders expected. I thought, wow, for the leaders not to recognize that people are using it that much. And then the survey went on to say that 48% of employees rank training as the most important factor in Gen AI adoption. So to me, it says that people are trying to go fast, right? They want that. And I think from the leadership alignment perspective, I've seen AI implementations slow down a little bit because leaders weren't aligned on their priorities or how they wanted to approach it, which I think is fair, right? It's the kind of the total cost of this and the rate of return is still unknown yet. So they're going to be a little more cautious. Needed to get the governance stuff out there. So it makes sense. But for me, I think adoption isn't, readiness isn't so much of the issue. It's more of building the infrastructure and the scale, and that kind of rests on leadership alignment in the beginning of the journey.
Mhm. And I think, Eric, I just thought of something is, when we talk about readiness right now, is back in the day, it used to be like, okay, are they ready? Here's your checklist, go, no go. But now it's not about, it's happening. And so it's not about whether you're ready or not, but it's let's get them as ready as possible and catch up if we need to.
Mm, good point.
I think one thing that I would add to the mix with regard to adoption, there's a lot of workplace anxiety, right? Even if someone uses it at home or they're learning about it in their off time, because organizations and leadership visions are still being determined, policies are still being determined, governance is still being determined, and much less infrastructure. There's a lot of unknowns there for the individual contributor or team. And so when it comes to adoption, I think it has less to do with the desire, right, in terms of to adopting, but it has probably more of really kind of what am I adopting? Because we're still kind of building, right? This is one of those classic, we're building the plane as we're flying it. And I think we don't have a whole lot of answers. And I think that adds to really kind of the hairiness, right, of this type of adoption as opposed to a traditional technology adoption.